your mama's cooking? Then come on down to Q Time, an Urban Passport member.
We are back. For the first time in 62 years, the Florida Memorial Lions will hit the gridiron, and their home games will be streamed by the Black College Sports Network at www.fmuathletics.com, www.mybcsn.net, and on the MyBCSN app, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
Now, you can't live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Vanilla smoked sea salt seasoning is for seafood. The tarragon and fennel bring out the natural sweetness in seafood. I also use it in rice dishes, on yams, asparagus, blueberry pancakes, and believe it or not, chocolate chip cookies. Vanilla smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Good day, good people. Once again, we're Grumpy Old Nerds back. Well, Grumpy Old Nerd back in your ear. Good to see you. Good to be back. You've got me, Uncle John, here in front of you. You got Uncle Roy behind us on the ones and twos. What's going on, Uncle Roy?
Hello.
Uncle DJ and Uncle Percy will not be here today, but hopefully coming in soon in their place will be Auntie Nicole. But I would be remiss if I did not mention two particular things today. Number one, I have been a Chicago Bears fan my entire life since I started watching football. And one of the things that hit me hard today was the death of Gale Sayers, who was also known as the Kansas Comet. Now, most young folks aren't going to know who Gale Sayers is, but this brother could stop on a dime, he could reverse field, he could outrun you, and do pretty much everything he wanted to do on the football field. Now, Gale only was in the league for 5 years because of his knee injuries. And it's amazing that the Bears with Gale Sayers and Hall of Famer Dick Butkus in their lineup still sucked as hard as they did. But Gale Sayers was what you would call a main attraction. In comparison, Gale Sayers was Barry Sanders before Barry Sanders. Gale Sayers was all over the place, was an extremely talented running back. And those of us who are Bears fans and NFL fans alike will miss him. Peace and blessings to Gale Sayers and his family and our condolences. Now, I will also be remiss if I did not mention the elephant in the room. You know, it's a shame when someone would be able to serve a no-knock warrant in my home, shoot me dead, and get away with it, and only go to jail because they threatened the lives of my neighbors when they shot up the place. But that's what happened with the gentleman who broke into Breonna Taylor's apartment that fateful night and killed her. It's interesting because earlier today, the city of Louisville had called a state of emergency and boarded up most of their businesses downtown. So they knew what was coming. They knew the atrocities that were about to take place. And I cannot understand, as a black man in this country, I cannot understand how people can look at this and not say how we as Black people not only fear for our lives from the ones who are supposed to protect us, but we also have no respect for our judicial system or for those who are supposedly paid to protect us. Now, don't get me wrong. As I've said before, I have friends and family who are dedicated police officers in the city of Chicago. And I love them, and I know that there are good cops. But the fact remains, these officers serving a no-knock warrant, meaning they busted in the middle of the night, guns drawn, shot up this woman's apartment and killed her, and have not been brought on charges. And one only was brought on charges because they say he, quote unquote, endangered the lives of her neighbors. That is not only saddening, but it's scary. And I pray for her family. I pray for all of her relatives. I pray for the city of Louisville, because for the next 24 to 48 hours, it's going to be ridiculous. But I'm going to be honest, I can't blame her.
Absolutely.
So before I go down that rabbit hole, there is Auntie Nicole, and we get to see her today. Oh my goodness. We don't have to look at the picture.
Yeah. Yes.
How you doing today, Auntie Nicole?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good, guys. Just got off a little bit of on call, so here I am.
I understand. You know, it's funny, in this time of pandemic, I've been at home for the past 5 months. I'm a non-instructional paraprofessional for Atlanta Public Schools. So I've been at home for the past 5 months and on and off computer screens trying to get second graders to take assessment tests. My goodness gracious, it's mad.
Wow.
It's like trying to herd kittens, to be very honest. But,
So I hear. I've heard all the stories of teddy bears showing up for show and tell, and kids showing you their rooms and all kinds of good stuff. But just different teachers.
I've got kids who are in houses at daycare with other kids, and I'll sit there and I'm talking to a particular child on the screen. I'll see another child fly by behind me. Like, what's happening?
Which one are you?
Right. And then I'll have 2 or 3 kids in the same house, but on different computers. And I'm working with one, and then the other one walks by. I'm like, son, you're supposed to be working on that assessment test. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, okay. So yeah. So, I mean,
Like they don't see, like you don't see them, right?
this is the new normal. My goodness gracious. I'll
tell
be
you.
happy to get back in the classroom, but I'm fearful of them trying to make us go back before it's safe. Because in particular,
Absolutely.
with the elementary school situation,
Yeah.
you know, they're all they do is touch each other.
Yeah.
All
Absolutely.
Children that small are germ factories. Elementary school children,
Absolutely.
just germs are drawn to them like moss to a flame. So, you know, it is.
Gosh.
But I'm glad you took time to come hang out with us, Auntie Nicole, because you know what we're going to talk about today.
Yes, we have to. We have to.
So love.
Oh, just so before you get started, you got to see my devotion to everything, okay?
Okay.
So I don't know if you can see it. You see over there by the TV?
Yes, ma'am.
That's my little, I don't know if you can see it, right behind the TV there. On the top is my Black Panther and Suri. All the rest of it, you can't see them that well. All the rest of that is Star Wars and so on.
Let's go.
And on the other side, you can't, well, the picture's a little blurry, but it's all Star Wars and my baby Yoda in the back.
Nice. So you're excited about The Mandalorian coming out?
Yes, I didn't get to finish, believe it or not, watching the first season, only because of my job. I work for a nursing home company and I do their referrals.
Okay.
So we had to actually go back in the office. So you can almost consider us part of the NBA bubble because we get tested every week at my job.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, it's nauseating. It really is. And they just told us that they may start going to finger pricks. And I'm like, okay, that's a little invasive. Can you, can we figure something else out, please,
So wait, so they test you every week. So that means every week they're taking that cotton swab and tickling your brain?
Yes, and digging my brains out.
Oh my God.
They are taking my brains out, yes. I mean,
as a Black man, it's a struggle living in this country but I've never felt
Yeah.
so violated as when that
Yes.
nurse took that cotton swab and ran it up my
Yes.
nose behind my eyeballs. I was just like, whoa.
Okay. Oh my gosh. And the thing is, you have different people who have different ways they do it, because there's several nurses that do it. And so sometimes you get the, oh, we only have to go right to the tip of the nose. We don't have to go back. And then the other ones is kind of taking out all of last year's brain cells, you know?
Right. Yeah, now, see, you know what? You're lucky because I've had this done to me twice, and I have yet to run into the nurse that would say, "Oh, I just want to stick in the tip." No, they're trying to ram that thing through the back of my head.
Okay, I'm here to tell you, it is just, it's maddening. I know I have to do it. They pay well, so I suffer through it, you know?
You know, a little bit of money always helps.
Hey, help me to forget it.
All right, so before we go down that rabbit hole, let's talk about Meet Me in Daegu, the latest episode of Lovecraft Country. And now, okay, so fair warning, number one, there are spoilers aplenty. We're going to talk about the whole episode, everything that happened, everything that looks like it might happen, everything that happened before. So that's that.
Yes.
Number two, this is going to be a Lovecraft Country episode. So I pretty much just said, you know what, let's just talk about this because there's so much to dive into in this.
Oh,
episode. Man. And
absolutely.
You know what's funny, Nicole? So Roy was telling me before the show that he didn't feel like reading the subtitles, so he quit. he got through the first third of the episode and he quit.
Oh gosh.
Couldn't do it.
Oh man.
So
these guys who did reviews and so on, sometimes I like watching the reviews because they're actually comical, some of them.
Right.
And there was these three guys and they all look like they from like the South Bronx, hard and everything. Okay. And when they were done with the review, they was like, y'all got to do something better about these daggone subtitles. You know, we sitting there trying to see people's expressions and we got to read, you know. I tell you.
I have seen Netflix completely dub over shows from other countries.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, y'all can't do this.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's true.
Okay,
that's true.
Let's start off with that. I like the authenticity. Now, for an actor, it has to be crazy because they had all these actors had to learn Korean. So they're, you know, not only memorizing lines, but memorizing lines in Korean with the right inflection in their voices and so on and so forth. So for those who don't know Korean, I'm like, wow.
Right.
But I don't really mind reading.
I don't have a problem with it either. I like horror movies, and I like old horror movies too. Okay. And they did one, I saw an original of one called Diabolique. It was a Sharon Stone flick and everything. They made it into English, but the original was French. So I sat and watched the original in French, so you're watching it with subtitles. And I honestly like it. You know, it's actually good. It's cool.
Okay. I don't know if I go that far down that particular rabbit hole. Nicole, you sound like a true cinematique. You really went there. I don't know if I can do all
Oh, my gosh.
I still need color in my... I still need color. But okay, so this episode, Meet Me in Daegu, this was the long-awaited episode where we finally get to see some of the backstory with Atticus. Yeah. And I find it interesting. Jamie Chung's name has been in the main cast credits from the beginning, but this is really the first time we've gotten to see her, aside from episode 2, where she was a hallucination, and episode 1, where she was the Red Martian lady. This is the first time we've really gotten to see her or hear her story. So we start off in Korea right before the war, and actually the war is starting, and she's in a movie theater. Jian, am I saying that right?
Jia, yes.
Jia is in the movie theater watching an old what's her I'm starting to say
Judy Garland.
Judy Garland.
That's who that was?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
That's who that was?
Yeah. It was
I was right.
Yes.
I was surprised it was Judy Garland. Man, you really wasn't trying to see.
You're a mess.
Okay.
She jumped up and started in English.
But what's funny is that a recurring theme I see throughout this entire series is transformations or one thing hidden under another. I found it interesting that we got to see a part of Gia that wasn't shown, that was hidden underneath.
Right.
with her
Right.
singing and dancing. To be honest, I was like, oh, cool. We get a little levity in my
Mhm.
It was like, okay, it was just like Biggie said, it was all a dream. So
Yes, absolutely.
It's
Mhm.
the beginning of the Korean War. Troops
Mhm.
come in, and we get to see G.I. Talking with her mom, and I found it interesting because I really didn't understand the relationship between her and her mom when they first started talking.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
going deeper into their relationship, I was like, okay, this ain't all apple pie. Something ain't right with what's
Right.
going on here. Excuse me. So
The first clue to that, before they even went into the backstory, was when her mother was talking with her, and she told her, you know, they had to get their status back in, you know, with their friends and so on. And she told her about bringing home men. She used the word men, not man. And I'm like, what did she mean, man? Did they, you know, I'm like, did they make a mistake in the show? You know,
I'm gonna be honest. I thought that was a Korean thing. I didn't pay any attention to it. I'm like, oh, she got to bring in a whole bunch of them to get her status.
Right. Well, I mean, and that's what I tried to rationalize it with. I tried to rationalize it like that. Like, well, maybe they were talking about like, you know, bring home a couple people and let's see who's good. You know, which one, you know, that type of thing. I didn't, you know, until they went further in the story. I just was kind of like, it just sat there like, and.
So the next thing, and I just have to say off the top, these shows are so well crafted, and
absolutely,
I don't find myself, you know, with any hour-long drama, you stand the risk of kind of drifting off.
Yes,
and they make it a point to say, okay, if you don't pay attention to this entire episode from top to bottom,
absolutely,
you are going to miss
absolutely.
something. So when they went to the meeting where it was speed dating, and she finally found a guy. Okay, number one, we know where this is going. So I'm like, okay, she's not going to find somebody. But when the last guy came along, and he said he liked Judy Garland as well, I was like, okay, they're just setting her up for heartbreak. Because every guy before her was like, nah, you're too Western, or you're not that. But he sat there and actually had a conversation with her, and they both talked about their enjoyment of Judy Garland movies. And the bell went off, and he was just like, sorry, hope you find somebody at some point. Now, here's a backstory that I thought that they would explore. Her best friend, I thought maybe they had a thing going on.
It favored, and I've seen a couple of things where people said it looked like her friend, seemed like it might have been like her friend kind of liked her or whatever. And that's kind of the thing they did with the last guy she had her little speed date with. Because you know, I sat there and I was like, I said they seem to hit it off really well. But then everybody and whenever I read and people I talked to, they were like, he was gay. That's why he crossed her out. That's what people think, that he was gay. Like he wasn't, you know, if you think about it, you're talking a lot of Asian cultures and stuff. You have to do a lot with bringing, you know, honor to the family and stuff. So if you're doing something that's not, you know, family wanted, so to speak, you know what I'm saying? You kind of have to cover it up. And you know how many people done, I mean, I don't know. I know quite a few guys out there in the world that's been married, got kids and everything, and turn around and you find out they're gay. And you're like, I'm like, you had babies, you know, and stuff. And it's like, you know, it's like, okay, yeah, you're still a man, but you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of the consensus that apparently a lot of people think he was gay.
So we're just going to make him throw every gay trope out there and just say, oh, he liked Judy Garland. He must be somewhere.
I mean, you know, hey, you know, I mean, I'm not saying that it's true, but apparently a lot of people feel that's the case. They kind of feel like, you know what, this guy, he couldn't have been, you know, and it could just be because, I mean, when you look at the other women, she was like prettier than everybody there. So,
she really was.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, I mean, you know, that's kind of probably the argument, because her friend, if anything, it seemed like her friend liked her, if anything. You know what I'm saying? Maybe she didn't understand all of that, and we get to understand a little bit more later. But you know, that's what a lot of people say.
She was like, "Yeah, come hang out with us. He's lame. You can come with us, and we have a good time." Like, oh, okay, all right. swinging it.
You know, and I toyed with that because I mean I was wondering if maybe her friend was doing it because you know they know her mom is whatever this dishonor was because they really didn't get into it just then. Maybe a friend was trying to help her out. I don't know. You know what I'm saying, type of thing. So
this show lends itself to a certain degree of inspection in terms of looking at every little thing. But I mean, I kind of thought the friend was digging her. Okay. It didn't lend itself to. It didn't go any farther. So I was like, okay, well,
absolutely.
Maybe I can just kind of let this go. Although it may come in later on. So
well, I never read the book, but I heard this whole section here with Gia is not in the book. This is something completely, based off of just them doing this show. I never read the book, but I learned that this is not anywhere in the book.
Now the book was written by a white man.
Yes.
Now, when I found that out, that blew me away. That's a white book right there, Jack.
That and I thought about that because as a matter of fact, the other day I was in a store and a girl was talking to me about it, but she was saying, I'm hearing a lot that it has to do with a lot of like racism. I said, well, and she was explaining something she heard. I said, listen, H.P. Lovecraft, yes, he was a bona fide racist, okay? But even in that, I think he still hated his life. You know what I'm saying? His own existence when you listen to some of the stuff about his background. But that aside, the guy who wrote the book for this Lovecraft Country, I explained to her, well, as far as I know, he was not a racist. But remember, this is a white man that still took this book into a time period of 1955 where this country was upside down with racism. So it wasn't black people that made this book and put it there. It was a white man that did this book and put it there. And, just trying to get her to understand it's not all about what black people are. Some people tell you something a certain way and they don't realize this whole thing, the idea, everything is by two white men, not black. You know what I'm saying? So it's just something that lends itself to a little bit of understanding, I think, to a lot of people.
Well, don't you also find it interesting? I was never a fan of horror. Sci-fi, fantasy, all that is cool. But I was never a big horror fan, and I never knew that many black people who were big horror fans. But now every black person loves horror now.
Absolutely.
Like, where were you before?
Absolutely.
Because
absolutely.
People, that's stupid. I would run if I saw that. I'm like, okay. Well, Freddy coming at you.
Well, yeah.
While she's running through the woods. Okay. You black
my gosh.
You kick Freddy in the head and run out the door. Okay, we get it. But okay. So.
Yeah, I just tell people just act like Regina King and what is a Scary Movie when
right.
Okay.
So going forward, so we find out that Jiha and her friend are nurses and that they're taking care of soldiers during the Korean War.
Right.
And fast forwarding a little bit, they are actually brought into the American camp, and we find out that Jiha's best friend is a communist sympathizer and has been giving secrets to the communists. And sure enough, Atticus is the one Atticus kills another nurse until Jiha's best friend speaks up, and then he knocks Jiha out, and then he helps in her torture. Now, in some groups that I'm in, and we've been having this discussion, I've heard people say, "Oh, I'm in my feelings about Atticus now," and so on and so forth. But I wish people understand is that this makes Atticus a more well-rounded character.
Absolutely.
Nobody's an angel. Nobody on
absolutely
has not done something stupid or horrible in their lifetime. And
absolutely.
Atticus being a black soldier in the army at that time, he did what he was told. And if his superior officer told him to put a bullet in that girl's brain, he better put a bullet in that girl's brain.
Absolutely.
Put a bullet in his brain. So I just feel now that Atticus is more. I have more sympathy now for Atticus, knowing a lot of the atrocities that he's been through.
Well, I mean, think about it. He joined the war out of his own self. It wasn't like he was forced, he was drafted or anything. He did it on his own. So, and that was to escape his father. That was escape his life. everything about what he did up until that point was to escape his life, even reading. I mean, this episode here goes to show why Atticus seems to be so laid back when it comes to the weird. You know what I'm saying? When you look at everything that's happened since he's been home, I mean, most people would have went crazy by now. They would have lost their mind or what have you. But just like when Letty was telling him, my house is haunted, and he was like, okay, well, what you got?
Yeah.
Who says that? Who says that? You know what I'm saying? It's not, I mean, he literally, and I think it's everything in his life, between his dad, between reading all these sci-fi books and everything has forced him to escape into an area of make-believe or imagination, which is sci-fi or scary. It literally puts him, you know, smack dab right there with her, even though he got freaked out, you know, when he finally seen the tails come out and everything. But at the end of the day, well, yeah, but, you know,
I'm butt naked,
I understand that.
cooking, and
You know,
foxtails coming out at me. No,
you know what I'm saying? But it's like,
It did happen. I figured it would.
yeah. Roy's like,
What?
oh, really?
what? What is he talking about? What do you mean?
Roy didn't finish the episode, so he was just like, okay, he didn't.
So she didn't explode him then, apparently.
We gonna get to that.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, y'all are
goodness.
my cliff notes this week because I ain't watching.
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
While you watch TV,
Nope.
we know that. Okay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You're missing a lot, because actually when you read, you retain more. So it would be good.
Hold on a second, John.
You know.
I got to do something here for a second. Hold on. Hey, Nicole.
But
Nicole?
yeah. Oh my gosh.
When you read,
Oh goodness.
Right.
Well, it's just that to me, like you said, it lent to the authenticity of the episode. He wasn't in America, he was in Korea. So
Exactly.
it just made more sense. I mean, she knew English, so clearly their interaction was in English. But I mean, you know, they had to keep it real. Her mother didn't probably know anything. You know what I'm saying? Her mother was probably spoke only Korean. But the thing is that I think with everything that happened while he was there, this is what's going to help him in the future. He's able to understand that normal isn't normal anymore. You know, there's things going on that go bump in the night and we don't know why, but he's an inquisitive type. So, I mean, I think in a way that's what's probably going to help him. I mean, I give him credit because think about what happened in episode 2. No sooner than he had to find out that he had to give his life for his friends, for his family, he didn't argue about it. He didn't do nothing about it. It was all him. So that is his character. You know what I'm saying? He was like, you know what? Okay, good. I got to die to save my family. And that's what he did. There was nothing. And if you look at like even now and anything that's probably to come, that's going to be him all the way through. So I can't be really, like you said, I can't be mad at him because he did what Hitler's henchmen did, when they had the Stanford Project and all of that stuff. And they all said the same thing. I did what I was told.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that simple.
Because better me killing you than someone killing me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And he knows that ugly side.
Right. Exactly. So, oh, you know what? And I skipped over a very important point. Before we got there, Gia did find a guy and brought him home. And that's when we find out that she's got the foxtails coming out of all her orifices. And she the souls of 100 men in order to retain the spirit of the little girl. But she eventually falls in love with Atticus, which, okay. So, okay, I'm glad you're here because I can ask you this.
Okay.
I again, in these groups where I've had these discussions about the show, there are a number of black women who are who feel a certain way about the fact that Atticus actually dated and courted Jiha, as opposed to not dating and courting Letty. You know, him and Letty just got down to it. They just hit right off the bat.
Right.
They discovered that they liked each other. So my contention is he ain't had time to court Letty because between the road trip and the house and and discovering what's going on, he and Letty haven't had time to actually go out on a date. All they've been doing, like Scooby Doo and the Scooby Gang. They're sitting there going through reading novels and stuff, trying to figure out what's going on. But while he was in Korea, he actually had the time to sit and actually kind of woo, no pun intended, to woo Jihad. So I mean, am I wrong or?
No, I actually agree with you, and I've actually had this conversation with a couple people as well. I'm like this. Listen, Jihad had a captive audience. Remember, Atticus was hurt, and stuff. He was in a land he didn't know. He didn't, what I'm saying? He was dealing with stuff. He didn't know what was going on. He was in his feelings. He was, what I'm saying? He was confused and all kinds of stuff. So they had an opportunity to go through pain together, because she had her own pain, he had his. But when you're talking about Letty, that's a whole nother type of relationship. First of all, they have history. You know what I'm saying? They know each other. So it's not like it's something that they had to rev up to get to know each other. They grew up together. You know what I'm saying? They got a background. And then a lot of times when people go through something stressful or hurtful or whatever it is, it bonds them. So technically, Letty and Atticus would be bonded based upon that. They've been through a hell and back in, response to everything they got going on, not to mention stuff they just can't explain to nobody. They can't talk to nobody. That's one of the reasons why Hippolyta and Ruby is off, going into the lion's den themselves, because nobody is talking to them about it. That's the one thing this show has shown, is there is no communication amongst anybody to try to help save anybody. I'm serious. It's like every time you see it, and also when I say communication, they really should rename this show about how to be a fricked up parent, okay? Because none of the parents on this show have done anything to further their kids emotionally and everything. If you look at everybody's family, even Jihad's, everybody's got a effed up background. You know what I'm saying? I mean, think about it. Jihad was raped by her stepfather because the stepfather picked her mother because she was a single mother who had a baby out of wedlock. You know what I'm saying? So she has a child now. He was a child molester, probably, or what have you. She marries this guy, and this guy is raping her daughter, and so on, until finally she turns around and she doesn't want it to happen anymore. And what does she do? Turns her daughter into a monster. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's how this whole thing goes down. So to get back at her husband, she turns Jihad into this Kamiho. And basically, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, okay, so not only do you turn her into a Kamiho, but she turns around, has to turn around and have to have sex with a dad, her stepfather, because that's probably how he died. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so on like that. So when you look at that, then you got Atticus' father beating the hell out of him and everything because he's afraid he's going to be gay growing up or whatever this situation is. Letty's mother leaves her and Ruby high and dry and so on like that, and then dies and nobody knows what happened to her. And then right now, Uncle George seemed to be the best parent of them all, but now he's gone. And you know what I'm saying? And then sadly, when you look at the promos, even from the past and, for the next one, Hippolyta's having the time of her life. You know what I'm saying? And when I'm wondering, where is Dee? You know what I'm saying? She looked like she's going through hell. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this whole show is showing you how one generation's mistakes, you don't have to hold on to it. That's kind of what Jihad said. We don't have to be the monsters that our parents made us out to be.
You better preach, Auntie Nicole. All right.
I'm just saying. It's just.
Roy looks like he wants to say something.
I do. This is a quick question, though, and I don't know. So because you do more reading than I do. First off, is her name? Is it Hippolyta or Hippolyta? Have they actually said?
I would pronounce it however Wonder Woman's mother does it. Is it Hippolyta?
Her name is Hippolyta.
Okay, so I would say it like that, but it sounds like people are saying it different in the show. So it's like everybody's got their own.
Well, you know how we do. We'll take something and turn it all kind of sideways. Now, I don't like Hippolyta.
Okay, so I was saying Hippolyta at one point, but
have they called her name in the show?
That's what I was about to say. Has anybody actually said her name?
Yes, I've heard, what's his name? Montrose has said her name before.
They said Hippolyta too. Yeah.
And he said Hippolyta. Yeah.
He did say Hippolyta. Okay. Because all I remember, the reason I asked that, because I remember somebody saying that they have the same names as Wonder Woman and her mother.
That's what I put. Remember, I had put that little meme out there on Facebook. And I was like, because I'm like, has anybody paid attention to the fact that that's Wonder Woman and her you know, like her mom's name and stuff like that, you know?
That's and see, I think that was you who brought that up. I was just like,
yeah.
And they don't do anything by coincidence on this show.
Right, exactly.
Now, I'm curious, are Hippolyta, and Diana characters in the book too?
I don't know. I've never read the book and so on. I'm assuming they have to because Uncle George is in the book, but see, they've transposed characters though, from what I understand. Okay. So for instance, Christina and William, they're not two people. It's just somebody by the name of Caleb. Yeah, that's in the book. And what you call it? I think Uncle George and Montrose, believe it or not, are also transposed. I think they're like opposite of each other. Like, you know, than how we see it on film. Like, I think Montrose is the uncle or something like that. And, you know, so on. And again, I haven't read the book, but just some stuff I've heard, you know, from talking and looking at a couple of reviews.
Okay. I'm cheating because I'm trying to look up the character.
That's okay.
Hippolyta is in the book.
Okay.
Ruby's in the book. Ruby's in the book. Sammy's in the book. And like you said, Caleb Brace White is Samuel's son instead of William and the girl.
Okay.
So shoot, we went off on a tangent. We went down that.
That's okay. That's okay.
I forgot where we were. So anyway, so it ends up that Tick and Jiha do finally recognize their love for each other. They're about to do it, and actually. So now this was a twist. I didn't know that she could control the foxtails coming out of her too.
And I thought about that too. And it seemed like, this is the one thing I will say, take note. The times they showed them before the last time till her tails came out, it seemed like, you know, kind of sort of she was in the instructional phase of teaching him how to make love, so to speak. Because he was a virgin, right. And that's also been a topic coming up because, you know, when she saw his mind, when the tentacles came out, there's a quick view of him in the bed with a black woman and so on. And there's a couple of theories I have on that, but we'll talk about that later. But the thing is that I don't know. I think it's something to do like maybe because it seemed like that last time she was finally enjoying it herself. It was more like him pleasuring her. Right. And at that point is when those, right. And then at that point is when the tentacles came.
Yeah,
so that's what I got from that.
Tick put that black man mask on him. Tick said, yeah, you talked.
I'm not going to lie. He kind of looked like a pro at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, really?
You know, I mean, just kind of like in retrospect.
I'm sure. Now, here's my thing. Does Jonathan Majors get paid per diem every time he takes his shirt off? Because I think.
Hey, man.
Yeah, yeah. Anthony Cole.
There's got to be something in his contract. It's got to be part of his contract.
So he finally hits her spot. She loses control. The tentacles come out. The tails come out. Whatever you want to call them. And she's able to actually not kill him, but she releases him. But she sees his future.
Right.
And we get to see. Now, here's my question. I wasn't sure. I didn't catch this. Did she, when he was in bed with the black woman, was that before or after she released him?
That was after, because that's when because she went up to a certain point when you saw Montrose spanking him.
Right.
And then it went from there to the future. Because at that point, you see him getting on a bus, you see him with the black woman, then you see him getting baptized, then you see Letty, and then you see the ending. You know what I'm saying? And so on. And I looked at that a couple times because when I saw him, I was like, okay, so he said he was a virgin. A lot of people was confused, you know, like, and I was like a little confused at first. I said, wow, I said, well, it could have been either A, maybe he tried it once and it didn't work out or something, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, it just didn't happen. Or B, it could have been when he got back home, you know, to put Korea in the back of his mind, you know, he met somebody, whatever, and, you know, sat there, had himself a little girl, whatever. But the thing is that, and this is part of my little theory, okay? And it was something that was talked about a couple times too. I know people say Christina don't want to have like anybody else that's going to block her way to get to be part of that Sons of Adam type thing. Okay. But my thought process is that the only way she could be part of it legitimately would be probably to have a baby. Okay, because her having a baby, if she can get herself a son, that would be kind of her buy-in, you know what I'm saying? Because she would be able to at least be part of it because of her child, so to speak. And mind you, we don't have a background yet on Letty. You know what I'm saying? We just got the little interaction we got between her and Ruby, and that was it. But remember, her mom has like this mystery time that wasn't around them. And remember, her mom died. And in episode 3, when they bought the house, she made a comment that when they bought the little conjure woman, the voodoo lady there, that was a friend of her mother's. You know what I'm saying? Or something apparently. So we don't know what's the deal with Letty yet. But I'll say that since we know now that they can change bodies and skins and sexes and all kinds of stuff like that, who's to say Christina doesn't try to trick, Atticus into having sex with her, by being Letty. Now, the argument with that was that, well, everybody else, has died. I said, don't forget, Letty did die. Okay, and so on.
Yeah, no,
and so it's possible.
She's not taking the form of someone who's passed away. And Letty did technically die and then was brought back. So now, so that
and that was just a theory that I had, because I'm like, that would be the only legitimate way Christina could even be part of that.
Right, exactly. Okay. So,
but I personally think everything she saw after Montrose spanking it was in the future.
Well, that was when
because I think.
Right? That was when she came across the room.
I think everything she saw at that point, because it showed him, remember, he was getting on the bus and so on, and that might have been the bus he was on when he had that crazy dream. You know what I'm saying? And she was in it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, because like you said, that the black woman who he was making love to, he was in bed with, was kind of the consensus seems to be, okay, that was just somebody. He had to cleanse his palate, so to speak.
Right.
Make sure that every woman that he had sex with didn't turn into a nine-tailed fox.
Right. That wasn't the experience, right.
That was his buffer from the demon to Letty. He needed
absolutely.
Just say,
absolutely.
Okay,
be like, this thing doesn't happen all the time, does it?
Right. Okay.
So
So the end, where they're actually talking to where Jiha and her mom go back to the shaman, and the shaman says to Jiha, "You will see much more death." So where do you see us going? We have what's interesting is that we now know that the house that Letty lives in pretty much can transport you wherever.
Yeah.
So does that have a underground tunnel to Korea?
Well, remember they said that they built the house with all these rooms. So I'm thinking there's rooms probably in that basement that they come out of, and maybe it's like the rooms that was in when they went to that mansion in episode 2. Remember how everybody had their visual hallucinations? Maybe it was something like that, but it can transport you because Christina did call the Ori a time machine. You know what I'm saying? Like so I'm tempted to think between that and the house or something like that combination, that is what's going to be able to get them to go from point A to B or something to that effect. But the thing is we're already noticing, I guess we just would need to know how it worked, because remember, we never knew how it worked. So Hippolyta has clearly opened that up somehow. And that'll be what we find out next episode. But my thing is that I'm thinking we're still going to hear something from Jihad. We have to, you know what I'm saying? Because why give us that ominous, ending like that? Whether or not she makes it to the United States or they go out there or whatever, maybe the Camijo might turn around and try to save his life or something like that. I don't know. But what I say is at the ending, what she saw as death may not have been death. You see what I'm saying? She just saw him dead. Remember, we now know you can bring people back to life. You know what I'm saying? We now know that, there's people that can change bodies and so on like that. So what she saw may not be 100% accurate. You follow me? So it's like one of those things right now. I guess we would have to see how close we get to that, vision she had in the storyline. Because we don't even know whether or not that's actually legit what she saw. Because remember, you can see something and so on. And in her case, she never saw the future. That's why they went to the shaman to begin with at the ending. The mother went there to be able to be a sacrifice for her daughter because she, at this point, it was just like, okay, you know what? I done screwed your life up enough. You know what I'm saying? Type of thing. You know what I'm saying? As a mother, you know what I'm saying? And everything. But the shaman, I'm not even certain the shaman was even going to be able to do anything with that at that point, because now the biggest question, it was like, is she still part daughter or is she all monster now? You see what I'm saying? Because that was the big argument between her and her mother. Her mother kept saying that, you do these 100 men and you will bring back my daughter. My daughter comes back and blah, blah, blah. And she tried to tell her, that's over. You know what I'm saying? And stuff. I'm now.
That was actually a pretty heartbreaking moment when Jihad sang the song that she sang as a child, and the mother said, "See you."
Absolutely.
And she was like, "No, that's just the
memory from your husband."
Right.
That I got right. That and because the mother. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, based upon what Jihad was saying, but the thing is that I guess maybe the monster never assumed it would have feelings. You know what I'm saying? Type of thing. Like it embodied her daughter, but that's all it is now. She's walking around in a shell of her daughter. And because basically, I actually looked up the lore of that nine-tailed fox, and they explain that it's technically a malevolent spirit is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And it takes the embodiment of a beautiful woman. You know what I'm saying? So its job is to entice. Its job is to do all of that kind of stuff. Now, one of the things that it did state is that usually like it eats your heart and liver and different things like that. And that it has been known to sit there and actually help humans as well. You know what I'm saying? So maybe there's that side of it that we may know. I know a lot of people know this fox spirit from that anime thing, the Naruto, I think it is, or something like that. People talk about Naruto. Apparently that's like part of that whole nine-tailed fox thing. You know what I'm saying? And then I couldn't believe I had to do this one day, but somebody had asked me, they were talking about, well, what do you mean 9 tails? Where would 9 of them come? I said, dude, there is 9 openings in your body. That's, you know what I'm saying? And they literally couldn't get it. It was like, you got the 2. I said, you got 2 eyes, you got 2 ears, you got 2 nostrils, you got a mouth, you got whether it's a vagina or a man's penis, and then you got an asshole. You know what I'm saying? So there you have it, 9. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, you're supposed to be like, what? Really?
I think I'm missing something. I may have missed it when she called it out.
See what happens when you don't watch the thing to completion?
Oh, yeah, I'm good with that, though.
but it is 9, yeah. So and
it is 9
that's
openings
because I look again something that you have to how they were able to bring that into the lore of this television show was just phenomenal.
Absolutely. And honestly, let me tell you, the graphics in that was insane. Yeah. And I gotta say, of all of the tentacles that came out of her, the eyes was the craziest. Those things right there, it was like, it bubbled out. And so I was like, it looked for real. And I just was like, I said, they are throwing money at this show big time. I mean, because that was movie worthy. You know what I'm saying? And that was just impressive.
This is a movie budget for each episode. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. Absolutely. I sure hope they're getting paid well.
In the first episode where you got the spaceships and the monsters and Jackie Robinson, I mean, you could tell from there that the production value.
It was like War of the Worlds. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, that was impressive.
Let's move way past everything because, you can't just live in the moment. Do you see there being a second season for the show?
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, put it like this. I know everybody's like hip on the, there's a couple of shows where they did one season and that's it and everything. But right now, they have such a following right now. I don't think even HBO knew this was going to be that big. You know what I'm saying? Like, even with people making a big deal out of the racial tension in the show, I'm like, this is nothing more than what The Walking Dead did. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Where you have two sides of a monster. You have the human side and then you have the actual monster. You know what I'm saying? And so on. So it's like, I understand, and that's the other argument that I make to people. I understand you're wondering, because they're like, did they do this because of the George Floyd and all of this, bringing consciousness? And first of all, this was filmed 2 years ago. So George Floyd didn't die 2 years ago. He just died. You know what I'm saying? It's a shame you have to even break it down that way, so, elementary. But I said at the same time, racism has been around since dang near the dawn of age. So this is not something that's brand new, and everything. We still got 2 years ago, they were shooting black men then. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? That's the sad part about it. Here it is. This show is showing you the ugliness of 1955, but a lot of that hasn't changed. Actually, when I started looking up sundown towns from the first episode, I didn't even know that. Okay, I didn't understand that there was towns that you had to get out of. And that's when I finally found out that was why, if you look at your old grandmas and great grandmas and grandpas and everybody, they always told you to bring your ass home before the lights turned on outside. And apparently that's where that comes from. Like, it didn't necessarily have to do the racism, but it was just the timing. Bring your behind home when the lights turn on. And I did not know that. Yeah. Also, Route 66 was a dangerous road for black people to travel. Yeah. I did not know that until I looked that up. So this show is actually quite informative too.
You know what's funny is I consider you probably one of the more well-read people that I know. And the fact that I knew that there were sundown towns and you didn't know that, I give myself a
didn't. There you go. There you go. But hey, I'm here to tell you. Well, you got to understand, my life was a little different because, I am part of my family Spanish. So we got like a whole nother thing going on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we got like this whole other thing, part of my family. But I mean, I did grow up in New York City and I grew up with family that did part of my stepside of my family came from Greensville, North Carolina. So we would hear stories and different things like that and stuff, but I just never knew. I just knew that, hey, down south, yeah, that's racism. Even when I was applying to college, I had a school counselor tell me, and black lady sit there and be like, well, be careful some of the schools, some of the places down there still dealing with some of that old school racism. And I literally, my eyes was like getting big, like, okay, so I scratched that school off my list, same type of thing, because I was like, I don't know what the hell to expect, But I mean, this here is just, to me, they have to come out with a season 2, because put it like this, they're not directly doing everything from the book. That gives it the ability to have longevity. You know what I'm saying? If they was doing everything from the book, you know what I'm saying? Think about it like this even. The guy who wrote Lovecraft Country, he took the tenets of H.P. Lovecraft, but he didn't take his stories. You know what I'm saying? And so he created his own stories. So now with HBO, they can go ahead and take the book and stretch it out as much as they want or create. Now, would it go on for years? No, I don't see that happening. Unless You know, the only thing I can think of and that I would like to see, put it this way, is an episode where they come to now. You know what I'm saying? From 1955 to now. I found myself thinking sometimes like, wow, you know, when you see these pictures of, you know, segregation and all these different things, and they you know, putting the hoses on black people back then, and the whole Emmett Till, and just so you know, episode 8 is going. I'm gonna have to have some liquor from episode 8. I don't know how they want to do that, but I'm gonna have to. I'm serious. I mean, that's just like that's gonna be heartbreaking.
Again, spoilers galore. So
yes,
Roy looked at me and smiled. Do you know what episode 8 is?
Not a clue.
So episode 8, you know, Emmett Till has already made an appearance
Correct.
on the show like twice now. So episode 8 is.
They call him Bobo because that's what his family called him.
Episode 8 is titled Jigga Bobo. So Emmett Till will probably feature heavily in that episode.
Yeah, that one's going to be one I'm gonna need some liquor for. I'm serious because I don't know. You know, I'm assuming they're not going to try to go into what, you know what I'm saying, like showing like what happened.
But
Yes, I know HBO.
That lady,
you never know, right?
lady recanted.
They've taken so many things and laid them out to bear.
Yeah,
And the creativity behind this show, I would not be surprised if.
I just thought, well,
revolves around
the biggest thing. Well, the biggest thing, I know Emmett Till's mother purposely did an open casket because she wanted the world to see what they did to her son.
Yep.
And so I could probably understand that they did something like that, you know what I'm saying, or something, because she laid it out there and stuff. And I mean, my thing is just, I'm thinking because he's young, because he was 16, I think, at the time, if I remember correctly, Emmett Till, and 15 or 16, somewhere around there. And so I don't know where's the line in, say, entertainment when they decide they don't want to show certain things. Because usually when it's a kid type thing, they don't really show, you know what I'm saying, that type of thing and so on. But
he was 14, by the way.
14. Oh my gosh, she was even younger. Jeez, I thought he was older. But honestly, I can see maybe another season. Maybe not it having longevity like a long time, you know, show like you know, Walking Dead or anything like that. I don't see it going that long.
Well, I will take the opposing view, and I will say I would be cool with one season, because
one season,
like Watchmen before it. It is so incendiary, and it is so. It's just special. I would hate for there to be a second season and for it to not uphold the same standards as this first season.
And you know what? I can see that because everybody was upset with the last season of Game of Thrones, for instance. They really rushed the hell out that season and so on. And yeah.
When you've got shows of this high quality, it's hard after 3 or 4 seasons to keep that same amount of energy.
And that, I don't even expect it to even go that far. If they do, it would probably only be a second season. You know what I'm saying? Type of thing, if they did it. And that's just because right now, they got to give everybody's backstory. You know what I'm saying? We still don't have, like I said, Letty. We don't know what the hell happened with Letty. We don't know what went down with Ruby. We don't, you know what I'm saying? Certain things. And for some reason, I keep thinking that she has some sort of like, there's something kind of connection or something with her. You know what I'm saying? Because even with buying the house, Christina giving her the money, I still don't understand, because I don't understand how is it that Christina couldn't get in the house prior to Letty, you know what I'm saying, moving into that house. It's like I never understood that portion of it. Like, I mean, they never said, was the house spelled that she couldn't get in? And we're not talking about when Letty brought the voodoo lady there. We're talking, you know, before all of that.
Why the house so on. In order for her to...
Absolutely. Like they never, it's like there's certain things that seems to be underdeveloped or understood pretty much as to what is taking place there. Well, but we also got to look at the fact that Ruby has to sit there and come to grips that she was having sex with Christina all this time. You know what I'm saying? So, because...
There is a lot of stuff that still has to be mined, and I could see them having a second season. I'm just saying I would be upset with the ending after the one. But Auntie Nicole, thank you so much for pinch hitting for Percy and DJ today. It's been a pleasure.
Yes.
You know, you are welcome anytime. I appreciate you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anything you want to promote out there? Is there anything you want to talk about or give your social media accounts or no?
No, not really. I mean, I am thinking about doing a little like thing. I don't know if I was going to do it on YouTube or just post some things on Facebook, but kind of doing the origins of say storytelling, like certain characters and stuff, like Pinocchio and such. I think a lot of people, if they knew the origins of these stories, they're very dark. They're very, you know, gruesome and grisly a little bit. You know, a lot of people don't realize the Little Mermaid is from, you know, when she lost her voice and became human. Every time she took a walk, it felt like she was being stabbed by knives and she would bleed. So, you know what I'm saying? People don't understand some of these original stories are only been cleaned up because Disney got it.
Well, there you go. So look out for Nicole's dark and dangerous past of all, ruining your childhood.
At some point, it's still in development.
Well, thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
On the ones and twos. Thank you for watching. You've been with us from the beginning. We appreciate you. Please continue to watch. If you just tuning in, please feel free to come back. We got more good stuff for you, more Lovecraft, and I promise one day we'll talk about something other than Lovecraft. So, peace and blessings. You
never.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Have you had your Earth Blend coffee today? At Earth Blend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection.
I was like, come on.
Giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earth Blend Coffee.